Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be doing something old, but in a new format. A long time ago I did the In the Brain of series, or the NG Brain, Gunner Brain, Scout Brain. Today we're going to do something similar, which is going to be Co-op Brain. I was running a few speed play missions with my buddy the other day, and we were really gelling well. So I thought it would be a good idea to go through one of them and kind of dissect what each of us is doing from each of our points of view through the entire mission. So forgive me if this is more of a stream of consciousness style of commentary, as I'm just going to be going through it as we go. So as we go through the first room, obviously we want to get Molly moving down as quickly as possible. However, we have gunk seeds to get, so he's going to stay behind and get those in. Obviously, he prioritizes the gunk seeds, getting those into the mule so that it can start moving again, and then returns to clean up the rest of the room. Meanwhile, I'm heading downwards, picking up any minerals in the tunnel. Since I didn't take anything out of the first room, I have fully empty pockets and I'm able to carry full veins. And I realize that he's just about done with the first room, so I go ahead and call the mule down with me. This is the closest thing to what I would call a mistake in this entire run, which is he stops to deposit here, as he wasn't really sure that I wasn't leaving anything behind in the tunnel. When the only mistake in the run is losing literally seconds of time, I'd consider that a pretty good mission. Also, just to clarify, we didn't have Discord or any sort of external chat going on for this, so everything that you see here is all the communication that we had with each other, which really goes to show just how well you can communicate with random players without any external input. Which is something I harp on very heavily as a player's skill, which is learning how to communicate and understand what other people are thinking without any actual communication. Sure, the laser pointer is great, but incessantly pinging minerals that everyone in your team can easily see isn't helping anyone. I can see his flashlight flagging up beside me, so I know he's right here with me. I'm going to start hitting platforms in this room, and he's going to go for the hardest to reach minerals first. And since he's getting that one, that frees me up to get this slightly lower down but still annoying vein of Morkite. One of the biggest things when it comes to gunk seeds and heavy objects is congregating them at a low point in the map and then taking the mule there. As you can see, we're throwing all the gunk seeds down into this pit, and we're going to take Molly to them. He's going to continue to explore the high ground while I get them all the way down. Cleaning up the last of the high area now, he does one last check of the side tunnel and goes to get the last seed. And right as Molly arrives, I move her into position, get all the gunk seeds in, and he comes over to deposit as well. As a general rule of thumb, it's pretty much always a bad idea to pull the mule along with you when you're a scout, unless you're running ahead to the next cave. Largely, you should be going back to the rest of your team to deposit with them. They don't have the positional capability you do, so let them do less legwork to get to the mule than you would have to.
Molly is on the way. Team Rock seriously need to invest in some better equipment.
Due to us both having combined resources installed, as well as the knowledge that we both just deposited, he sees me getting this vein, registers that it's probably not more than 45, and goes ahead and moves on to the next. It's not a bad idea to help each other mine veins, but when you're confident that your teammate can fit it all into his pockets, there's really no reason to help. And likewise, I do the same thing to him here. I know he's empty, I look at the vein, I see that it's definitely not too much for him to carry, and I leave him to it. Due to this being a duo mission, we can be very liberal with ammo use. I'm popping off nukes as soon as I see fit. And we have a prospector, so we're going to have to cope with that. Wardens are a large threat in combat, so he's doing his best to take that out as quickly as possible. And I'm just kind of keeping an eye on the back line, but I think we're both doing that for the large part. End up nuking the Warden because it ran away to gather up more bugs. I try to jump out here to gather the Nitra in the middle of the swarm and get pushed back. Throw a proxy mine down to shut everything down that's following me. And right as the swarm's ending, the Prospector gets aggroed by the radiation, which is pretty good timing, honestly. Since I still have a number of nukes in the arsenal, I can take out a couple waves of patrol bots easily. And I'm going to go ahead and grab this one before it gets back up and comes after us. He watches over me for a second, and then goes back to deposit and chase the Prospector. As he's chasing the Prospector back up the tunnel, I go ahead and move towards the Omen Tower that we've seen, and I'm going to start setting that up and dropping resupplies and moving my turrets down there. He finishes off the second phase of the Prospector and starts its invincibility frames. And as it's coming towards me, it sheds its invincibility since it doesn't have enough patrol bots, and I finish it off. We get the data cell in before we forget, and we clean up the last of the robots. I give him a courtesy ping on the resupply to let him know that it's about time to get it, and I start pushing the batteries while he cleans up some of the cave. He immediately goes to the high ground and starts grabbing all the things that are annoying to get to while I'm pushing the batteries. And once he starts to get pressured by bugs, he comes back to me, and I clear them out. Since there's one battery left to push, I give him a courtesy ping, and we switch off taking resupplies and pushing the last battery. He pushes it halfway while I'm resupplying, and then resupplies while I'm finishing it off. I take the bottom pad, and I'm going to be standing on the resupply, so I don't have to worry about dodging the lasers. Due to this, my main priority is going to be killing drones, as they're the largest threat to him that I can actually affect. As he's already dealing with shooting and jumping over lasers, I don't want him to have to worry about shooting the drones that might be chasing him. With the bottom platform taken out, we're free to focus much more aggressively on DPS, and now I think he can also take care of the drones himself, as he's paying attention to much less. I break off of the pad to finish off the top module, and then once the last one's open, we finish it off. Now it's just a matter of rounding up the last of the Morkite and the gunk seeds that we need. As he's infusing a core, I burn a nuke so that I don't waste it on the resupply. He scrounges up the bits of Morkite, and I immediately go to the low ground to start gathering things up into a central area. He gets the last of the Morkite off of the ceiling that I already platformed. He does one last check of the high ground and eliminates a spitballer.
Have a bullet in the face. Let there be light.
As he's getting the last of the Morkite in, I'm figuring out where the last gunk seed is, and he thankfully beats me to it. But to be petty, I decide to bring one for myself.
Nicely done, team. You secured yourself a nice bonus.
And with the gunk seed in, he goes ahead and hits the button, and we make our way out. I throw a ping on the resupply to let him know he can have it if he wants it, and he clearly doesn't need it, so we both just head out.
drop pod departing in T-minus 5.
Now, there's two general purpose exit strats for speed play in a controlled lobby where you have communication with the other players. Drop pod flipping and drop pod clipping. To start with drop pod flipping, if one player is high up in a cave, i.e. where the drop pod would want to spawn, when the drop pod tries to spawn, there's a good chance that it will be flipped, hence the name, and land near the mule, making it much faster for the mule to get back and get into the drop pod. Ideally, you'll want to have the scout player go high back up into the cave, which will cause the drop pod to land close. But alternatively, the strat that we're going to do here is drop pod clipping.
I smell bacon.
We'll go over it a couple times because it's going to happen fast. Essentially, it makes it so that you don't have to wait on the mule to get back to the pod. The only requirement is only one player must be alive. The drop pod clip is most easily done by a non-host player. So, hence why he usually plays scout and I'm usually hosting the game. He'll be able to clip into the drop pod, and since I'll be dead and on the ground, the mission will be able to end. As you can see here, he clips into the drop pod, and since he's above the ending zone, and I go down, the mission ends. Now let's see that again from my point of view. He's pushing forward and right into the clip spot, jumps, gets in. As soon as I see that he lands the clip, I put myself down. And it is an additional bit of speed tech. As soon as everyone is in the ending zone and the mission is ending, if you abort the mission, it cuts out the rising of the drop pod and ends the mission much faster, which is also something that I have the time and luxury to do as the host who's not in the pod. All of this put together makes the missions end multiple minutes faster, as we don't have to wait on the mule or the long animation of the drop pod rising. This may seem highly technical from an outside view looking in, but this guy learned to do this in less than a single day, and now we do it with wordless communication anytime that we play duos together. But that's about all I have for you today. If you'd like to see some more videos in this sort of style, or just more co-op content in the future, or explanations of any sort of tech that you saw in this video, feel free to let me know in the comments and I'll see what I can do. If you'd like to catch me live, I stream over on Twitch. If you'd like to talk to me or any of my community members, you can find us in the Leaf Discussion and Enthusiast group over on Discord. And as always, thank you for watching, and have a nice day.